Welcome to Standing on the Edge with Randy Saplata. I am your host for Standing, and today is Thursday, November 18th. Today we're going to talk about stop focusing on the problem on Edge of the Coin. And we also have the topic of market yourself during Think Like the Rich. And today's personal story will be Memo to Me. Finally, we'll finish off the show with what would happen if, as always. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time for the Edge of the Coin. And welcome back to the show. The Edge of the Coin is brought to you by the CS Media Group. We provide the outstanding talent and you get the extraordinary entertainment. The Edge of the Coin is the segment that will show us a way of opening up our mindsets to allow us to explore both sides of any situation. We're going to jump right into today's topic, which is stop focusing on the problem. Now, Standing on the Edge is a show designed for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and investors. And of course, I'm not talking about the major investors that are going into these huge conglomerations, or the people that are just going ahead and looking into like buying a little bit of Apple stock or Kroger stock or something like that. No, I'm talking about the people that actually go ahead and invest in the small businesses themselves, the owners, the angels, the entrepreneurs that like something brand new and love a challenge to go ahead and make it up. That's who I talk to on this show. And of course, the wannabes, the people that want to go ahead and do that and just have never tried or never had the option to go ahead and do so. Why do I talk about it to them? Because here's the cool thing. If you have next to no money and you're starting off your business and you know it can be wildly successful, as some businesses can very well be, then the extra cool thing about it is that you have control of most of the business. So if and when you go ahead and decide to reach out to these other people, whether it's these angel investors, excuse me, or other entrepreneurs such as your family, friends, and so on and so forth, or even other business owners that can go ahead and help you out, then that means you all of a sudden have control of a major portion of the stock in your business, and therefore you are an investor also. So the topic for today is called Stop Focusing on the Problem. And this might seem very counterintuitive for many people, especially the owners, because they're thinking, wait a minute, the problem is I have all of these things I got to do. I've got to go ahead and pay the bills. I've got to go ahead and get the inventory in. I've got to go ahead and make my business up. I got to work on my business for Pete's sake. I've got to do all this other stuff. And they got a whole list of stuff that's happening while they're doing it. Well, here's the interesting thing, especially if you're just starting out, okay? And the problem is an important part of it, for sure, because if you didn't have a problem, you'd have no way to go ahead and solve it, and you'd have no way to go ahead and ensure that you were successful in doing so. But you want to focus past the problem, okay? Identify the problem, sure. But if you're focusing on the problem itself, you'll probably very unlikely, unless it's a very simple problem, be able to go ahead and solve the problem. You need to focus beyond to the solution where you want to be, and then work your way backwards. And this, of course, will also help identify many of the problems that are standing in between you and that final goal that's coming up from there. So it's always a great idea to stop focusing on the problem and start looking ahead from there beyond the problem to the final solution. Even if you don't know how to get to that solution, if you know where you're going, then you can go ahead and push through that problem to that final place and become even more successful in doing so. Now, let me go ahead and give you an example, okay? And by the way, I'm not preaching to everybody here. I'm also preaching to myself. I'm talking to myself most of the time when I make these videos. Why? Because generally, I'm the first person that gets benefit out of this, because thoughts start sparking into my head and things start flying out the wazoo as I'm going, wait, I never thought about this. Boom, let's go ahead and try this in my own business and move on from there. So here is a good example, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and give you one of mine because that's the best one that I can go ahead and do. But there's a lot of people I know out there that do the exact same thing. They start focusing on the problem itself. What's the problem? Well, first of all, my biggest problem many times when I'm starting a business is I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. Well, the interesting thing about that is if I'm focusing beyond the problem and I want to go ahead and start making money, then I got to go beyond it. And most of the times that will go ahead and really, like I said, start lining up the things that I need to do to be able to go through that and create the solution to the problem in the first place. Okay, so the first thing I need to go ahead and do is forget the fact that I don't have any money, because if I don't sell anything to anybody, I'm never going to have any money anyway. That's an incredible concept that most people just don't catch. Most people just don't realize, and most people don't even identify in the first place. They think, oh, I've got a great idea. Let's run with it all in full force. Let's go ahead and jump on that idea and make sure we've got things going in the right direction. Well, that's good to go ahead and get started here. But like I said, if you don't have enough money or any money flowing into you, then you're never going to be able to go ahead and go any further than that good idea anyway. So with that in mind, here is a good example, or another good example to go ahead and work on from there, okay? Let's say I don't have the money. I know what I want to go ahead and do. But again, it's not about me. It's about other people. So the first thing I need to do is to go ahead and start looking beyond the money problem to the people that I want to talk to. Okay. Now, if my show as a DJ, I could go ahead and say, just like everybody else, well, I just want to play music to anybody and everybody. And therefore, they're going to have a good time and they're going to go ahead and pay me. All I have to do is hang up my shingle, DJ services for hire, and we go from there. That doesn't work very well that way at all. Why? Because DJs are a dime a dozen. They're actually more like a penny a dozen, or even probably a double penny a dozen kind of thing, or half penny a dozen. There's so many people out there in the industry of the DJ services, and that's from everybody all the way up to the highest paid DJ in the world, who gets paid something like $10,000 an hour to go ahead and perform, down to my friend down the street here who's got his own cell phone and can go ahead and play music for his own little gathering that's going on. There's a lot of people out there that will go ahead and do and can do exactly what I am doing. So how do I get past that? Well, the first thing I need to do is to go ahead and, like I said, focus down with a narrow like laser focus to the people that I really want to go ahead and work on. Well, right now it is in the middle of November, so I want to go ahead and start focusing on people that are going to have Christmas parties. That's my little niche right there that I'm focusing on. When I go ahead and get that done, then I want to go ahead and focus down even further. Who do I want to do? Well, I want to be able to go and focus on the people that are able to afford my services. If I'm charging right now the average of normal DJs for this particular type of party, I'm going to start charging around $300 for the party itself. This party can go anywhere between 3 hours and more, and if it goes more than 3 hours, I will probably go ahead and charge more than $300. And a lot of people will get scared off by going, oh my gosh, $300, I can just go ahead and set up my own phone in the back, plug a speaker in and go from there. Well, you know what? That's great if you want to go ahead and do that. And if your party is 5 people, that's perfectly fine. But I'm talking about the people that are gathering together that have 100 or more people into the setting. Your little phone and tiny little speaker is not going to work very well for 100 plus people or even 50 plus people. You've got to have some decent sized speakers in order to go ahead and do that. And once again, if you've got the speakers and you've got them and you've got the way to go ahead and do it, by all means, jump on it for sure. But many people don't. And therefore, the people that I want to go ahead and cater to are going to be CEOs of other companies and other people that want to go ahead and throw these huge Christmas parties, and they don't want to have to go ahead and start beforehand and make up a playlist and put it up on their own little speakers because it will look pretty cheesy. They want to go ahead and hire somebody professional, and therefore I would be catering to those people right there. Now, the next thing here is, once again, I've still got a bunch of other people, other DJs that are all fighting for the same type of people at that particular time. And so therefore, I'm going to take a look into focusing it even further and identifying a problem. Well, the problem is not that, do you need a DJ for your Christmas party? That actually is just saying, hey, by the way, I'm here, I'm available. I want to go and get even further than that, okay? And I want to identify something. Did you forget that you need the entertainment for the party coming up here in just 5 weeks? And I can go even further than that and say, are you willing to bet the success of your function on just any DJ? Or would you rather have someone who's going to make your party the absolute best it can be, where people will talk about it for years to come? And this is where I'm starting to identify the root of the problem. This is where I'm starting to go ahead and try to get people to say, no, I don't necessarily want just my friend down the road who can go ahead and do this, or the guy that works for me that says he's done this for a couple of other five or 10 people party and he can go ahead and work with this. Oh no, I want somebody professional. I want DJ Randy. I want somebody that knows what's going on, that's done it before, that's done it for many years, and can really guarantee that the life of my party is going to be that way, and give him definitely many instances of being secure that it's gonna be absolutely fabulous. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to go ahead and do. And so when I stop focusing on the problem, then I really go ahead and go beyond and start realizing that I can go ahead and make the money very easily if I focus on the solution. Well, what are the solutions? The solutions are the people that I'm catering to, the type of event that they need or want, whether or not they want something that's going to be half-assed or it's going to be professional, and whether or not they've forgotten to get on the ball and do it, or they're needing a service right now. These and other things can go ahead and do this, and this makes a very, very big difference when it comes to getting what I want. Once I've got that out there to them, then I can go ahead and start offering the solution, which is my services, to go ahead and do it. And if they need to go ahead and have it right now, I can go ahead and do it also, but they need to understand it's going to cost a little bit more because they didn't plan in advance and were not able to go ahead and get my regular standard price and going from there. So that being the case, money is involved, money is coming up, and I can go ahead and do this. Does this automatically come from day one? No, it will not come from day one. Sometimes you got to go ahead and promote this same thing and kind of start scratching at the sore, so to speak, or pulling at the scab to try to get people's attention and go ahead and give a little pain so people can understand that, hey, you know what? Yeah, he's right. I haven't planned for this. I need to go ahead and start looking into this. I really need to go ahead and make sure this is going to be the best successful thing that can possibly happen. And therefore, I want this person right here. When that happens, you've stopped focusing on the problem. You've focused on the solution, and things will come about. Now, most of the time at that point, you can have a deposit put down. When that happens, boom, you've got money already coming in. And then you can go ahead and have the rest of the money coming in from there, or the rest of the bill paid at the end of the service or afterwards, depending on how you want to go and work it. And there's all kinds of things that you can go ahead and do so. But the main thing is stop focusing on the problem. When you do that, when you offer that, when you are able to go ahead and look beyond to the solutions, the whole world basically opens up to you. And that is the coolest feeling of all. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time to think like the rich here on Standing on the Edge. And welcome back to the show. Think Like the Rich is brought to you, turn this music down, by Hers Decadence, offering luxurious refreshment to your body inside and out. You need to treat your body and that of your lover, especially if you're ready for some Christmas presents, to a bit of luxury from Hers. You can find out what's available by emailing Heather at hersdecadence@gmail.com. Now, Think Like the Rich is a segment designed, like all the others, to think past people's circumstances and encourage a different course of action. Today's topic is let's market ourselves. Market yourself. And this I kind of alluded to a little bit in the last segment, which was stop thinking about the problem, stop focusing on the problem. But now you need to go ahead and market yourself. Now, market yourself, once again, going back to, like I said before, is not just hanging up your sign, such as the one I've got right behind me here, Standing on the Edge. It's not just that sign saying, hey, I'm available for business. All you have to do is listen to me, come and join my show, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't work that way. No, you might have to do several different things. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you, once again, start focusing on the problem, which is, I don't have the money, and you start realizing that if you go ahead and continue thinking that way, you're never going to be able to go ahead and get your business up and running or moving from there, the first thing you have to do is start marketing. Well, there's a bunch of different ways you can go ahead and do this, and there's a bunch of different ways you can do this for free. Once you get it done for free, and you start going ahead and realizing that it is making the money that you need, then you start paying for advertising. Okay? And that's where so many people make a mistake. I did the exact same thing. Oh, especially when I was going ahead and doing this particular show to begin with. Okay? I started putting myself up on paid advertising, and I was budgeting myself at least $400 a month to go ahead and do so. And it was cool because I had the money and I was able to go ahead and do it. But the two things that I needed to go ahead and do were, number one, promote the show, and number two, make sure that I had people paying for my services at the same time. Well, promoting the show was great. I had that down pat. Boom, I went ahead and did that. But I didn't have any money coming in. So people were watching the show. People were going ahead and really enjoying the content that they had. And I was able to go ahead and do it. And then started smacking myself in the head going, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I didn't do the other half, the most important part, which was make sure that I've got cash flow coming through each time. And this is where the marketing yourself comes to, okay? Because so many times, you're going to find a bunch of people out there going, hey, you need to put yourself up on Google AdWords. Hey, you need to go ahead and set yourself up on Facebook paid advertising. Hey, you need to go ahead and start advertising on YouTube and paying for it. Hey, you need to go ahead and start getting other people to find the list of people that you can go ahead and start marketing to, and you need to pay them for it. And while all of these things are great, if you don't know how to market, you've just wasted your money. You've just wasted your money. And I have to say that That exact same thing. I wasted basically about somewhere in the neighborhood of about, I want to say, $6,000 to $7,000 of advertising and didn't get any, zero money coming back in. I fell into that same exact trap that I have fallen into over and over and over and over again. Excuse me. It has happened so many times. It has happened so painfully, I have to say. And I can't really say that I had anybody's fault except my own. I have to go ahead and eat my own crow, so to speak, because I was unable to go ahead and do the simplest thing possible. So with that in mind, you start with the free advertising. Always start with the free advertising. If you need to go ahead and start advertising and paying some money for it, then you can go ahead and do so, but do it very inexpensively, please. Okay. It costs $20 to go ahead and get business cards made up. It costs around $25 to go ahead and make up a ton of flyers. And when I say a ton, I mean you could probably get somewhere in the neighborhood of around 100 flyers or more to go ahead and start handing out to your friends, to your family, to the businesses around you, to the neighbors that are right beside you, saying, "Hey, I'm here." It only costs about a little bit of time to yourself if you go onto Craigslist and you start advertising these services. If you go onto guru.com and start advertising what you got. If you go onto Fiverr and start advertising your services or whatever it is. If you have to go ahead and set yourself up on Etsy, then you've got our own little store and it doesn't cost hardly anything to go ahead and do. If you start off just little tiny bits, you can go onto YouTube, you can go onto Facebook, you can go onto Instagram, you can go on to what's the other one, the big one, the website that does all the you get the idea. There's all kinds of stuff to go ahead and do it. I'll think of it here in just a minute for what I'm trying to think of, but it's the one online auction kind of thing. I can't remember the name of it right off the bat. But there's so many different places to go ahead and do this. And even if some of the places that I've gone ahead and mentioned are no longer available, all you have to do is go ahead and start off a little search and say, whether it's at Bing, whether it's at Yahoo, whether it's at Facebook, whether it's at Google, the master of all services, whether it's DuckDuckGo, it doesn't matter where you go, but you go ahead and start Googling, searching these places for online advertising boards or online services to go ahead and advertise at. And you start with these little things, these little tiny things. You can even go, for Pete's sake, go into a local restaurant, especially if it is a breakfast only place that's not McDonald's. Okay. And many times, especially if they are only focusing on your hometown right there, you're going to find that they've got a cork board. You can pop your flyer up, or you can go ahead and pin up your card or do something like that. And every time you go in there, look for it again. If it's missing, you put up another one. And when you do that, you go ahead and start reaping some of the rewards. Number one, people start seeing your face. They start seeing your business. They start seeing that you are available. Number two, since you're already there anyway, you can go ahead and start talking about what it is to everybody that's there. Number three, because you put it up there, it is now a valid business purpose, and you can go ahead and keep the receipt and pay for the food that you've just gone ahead and purchased and get partial refund back from the government for it. 4, because you had to go there in the first place, you can claim the mileage that it took to go there and come back. There's just those tiny little things that can bring money back to you that you don't realize for doing this. And you've already started marketing yourself. Now, if you want to go ahead and get further, once again, go to these online places such as Craigslist, these basically digital boards that you can go ahead and put up a sign for you that says, "Hey, I am available for your whatever," something like that. Now, why am I telling you this? Because what I'm saying right here is if you fall into the trap and say, "Hey, I am available for," you're going to flop, but at least you flopped for free. And the worst that can happen is that they've seen that you're available. So somebody might come along and say, hey, I remember that guy. I need to go ahead and see what he's about, and can go ahead and call you from there. But if you start getting good at marketing your services, if you get good at marketing what it is you want to go ahead and do, and you go and start advertising on these places, and you say, rather than, hey, I am available, you can go ahead and say something of this nature. We'll use my DJ services again, okay? DJs for hire come a dime a dozen. But if you need the best of the best, because you're in a scramble and you need a DJ right now, call DJ Randy and then list your number. And that's what I would go ahead and do. And again, it's not perfect. In fact, it's pretty horrible, honestly. But it's better than just saying, hey, I'm available, call me. That's one great way to go ahead and do it, because if you start getting attention, then you can tweak it and get even better from there. And like I was saying in the last segment there, if I went ahead and start poking at the pain, if I wanted to go ahead and started pushing at the problem, if I started going ahead and letting them know, hey guys, by the way, you have 6 weeks till Christmas, 5 weeks till Christmas, 4 weeks till Christmas, whatever it happens to might be. And I'm in front of them every single day pushing the same exact thing, and then telling them that if you haven't done so, you're about to lose out. And by the way, every day that you wait, the more expensive it becomes. And I'm really pushing on that wallet pain. I'm really going ahead and making sure that they understand that it's going to take more money, and it's going to be a harder thing for them to go ahead and get done if they don't do something now about it. And then I go ahead and say, and by the way, if you want something done now, call me now, because if you don't, I might not be available tomorrow. I might already have somebody else's that's right down the street from where you are, and they're going to get the time of their life, and you're going to get stuck using your phone with a couple of mini speakers. Market yourself. Market yourself for free. Market yourself inexpensively. Go to the people that are closest around you. Now, this is the most difficult thing for people to do. I don't know why. I have to say it's the most difficult thing for me to do. And probably because we don't want to look silly. We don't want to look stupid. We don't want to go ahead and look like we don't know what we're doing to our neighbors. We don't want to look like we don't know what we're doing to the people around us that we frequent. We don't want to go ahead and make a fool of ourselves by coming up and going with hands in pockets and going and shaking up and down and going, by the way, I'm, and I need to go ahead and tell you, and this is what I do, Everybody's going to do that, okay? Everybody is going to do that. If you practice first, and practice with the people that you know, they are going to say, okay, try it again, do it this way, this might sound better. And they're not going to judge you for it. So, yeah, it might be scary as hell to go across the street to your neighbor, knock on the door and say, hey, by the way, I need your help. I want to go ahead and start advertising for this type of service. I'm trying to go ahead and get my DJ service on a roll. I want to go ahead and start advertising to people for parties, but I don't know what to say. Can I practice on you? Do you have a minute? And they'll either say, well, no, I can't do it right now. Or they might say, yeah, by all means, come on in. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's flesh it out. Let's see where we can go ahead and get you going and work with you from there. And then all of a sudden, you've just, you've calmed down. You've gone ahead and found out that what you're doing is no longer nearly as stressful as you were making it out to be. It's no longer nearly as nerve-wracking to you, because now you're practicing it, and they're going ahead and giving you nice critiques and gentle critiques, and telling you what you need to do, but they're not judging. They're not judging. Get together with your best friend. Get together with your family. Say the same thing. Hey, I need your help. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done it before. Help me try to go ahead and get this worked out. Once you've got that down, and once you've got that perfected, or at least more perfect than it was to begin with, and you're not stumbling all over your words, and you're not forgetting your own name, and you're not going, and you don't have your hands in your pockets the whole time and shaking, going back and forth and trying to figure out what's going on, you can then say, hey, I have a brand new business. And you can pull out your card and you can say, here's my card. This is what I do. Do you need somebody for your whatever the next thing that's coming up? And don't just say the simplest thing, like I said before, the simplest thing that everybody does. Hey, I'm a DJ. Here's my card. Call me if you need me for a party. That is just certain death, okay? Unless you are going ahead and practicing what not to do. And then you can go ahead and move on. But the more you market to yourself, to your family by practicing, the more you market yourself to friends by practicing, the two things that will happen after you've gotten better at what's going on is that you've gone ahead and planted the idea in their heads that you are really interested and you want to go ahead and do this and you want to be successful at it. The second thing that'll happen is they might start thinking, hey, if I don't have a party myself, my friend down the street does, and I can refer him to you. And I can refer you to him. And then a connection is made. Once you've gotten that done, then you go ahead and start going ahead and moving on to the next thing. Putting yourself on Craigslist, putting up your card and a flyer over at the local Martin's or the local breakfast bar that happens to be around while you're doing that. Going up to the grocery stores, if they still have it, putting it up on the cork boards. Going over to Instagram and making up a little commercial. Going to YouTube and making up a little commercial. Going to Facebook and making up a commercial. And you start going ahead and doing these little things by using free advertising. Then, and only then, once you've got the finished product and you've got people coming back and they're saying, yes, I'm interested, and they're raising their hand saying, hey, look, choose me, choose me, choose me, then and only then can you even think about going on to the next step and start paying for your advertising. Because if you can't do it for free and you can't get business off of the free start and the free advertising, you're throwing your money out the window. Now, if what you're trying to do is going ahead and taking money, siphoning it off from a successful business or job that you're making a lot of money on, and you want to go ahead and throw it away to go ahead and practice so you get the tax benefits, hey, by all means, go ahead and do so. I mean, when I said I lost about $6,000 in advertising, it wasn't a complete loss because I'll get the benefit of that coming back on my taxes later on next year because I went ahead and had a valid business purpose for it. I'd already proved that I've been doing this. I went ahead and utilized the fact that I can go ahead and take what I did, my recordings, and show my accountant, hey, this is what I did. You can go to any number of these and see exactly the same thing that I've done. And therefore, she will go ahead and say, yes, you're right. This is a valid business purpose. And we're going to go ahead and write off this loss for you. And you get 100% of that back on your taxes, either as a tax credit or against the other taxes that you have to pay in that respect for your highly successful business and or job. This is always, always, always a cool thing. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it is time for Tales from the Edge. Welcome back to the show. I am Randy Zapata, host of Standing on the Edge, and I am here right now for Tales from the Edge. Tales from the Edge is brought to you by the HRS Foundation, investing in future generations to ensure a better tomorrow. Tales from the Edge is a shared personal example of people and situations that I alone personally have experienced during my path to growing wealthy. Today's story is Memo to Me. Memo to me, get your behind in gear. Now, of course, a lot of people are already thinking because are laughing at me because they know if I am anywhere close to them that I don't do things in advance many times. My best work is done literally right at the last second. I have to think, oh, what am I doing? Let's get it done. Bam, and I'm right there on the ball. I'll give you an example. Even trying to go ahead and come up with the topics for what's happening for my shows, many times you would think that the best time to go ahead and do it is immediately after I've finished the show, and I can go ahead and start pulling up examples. It doesn't work that way for me. If I start thinking about something that I'm going to go ahead and talk about a week from now, 9 times out of 10, I've gone past that 16 places and gone ahead and go, no, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. I don't go ahead and do that. And so most of the time, the night before is when I really go ahead and start getting my behind in gear. And I have to start thinking about that literally, because otherwise I'll be just going to bed, and I'll remember about 3 o'clock in the morning or so, I'll wake up and go, oh my gosh, I haven't done this. And I have to get up and do it, and interrupt my sleep, and I get all kinds of other stuff to go ahead and do it. So I have to remind myself, get your behind in gear. Do what you need to get done. Get on it. Start thinking about it so you have at least something to talk about. And very, very rarely, once again, the same thing. Even though I've got what I know I want to talk about, I will almost never script out what it is I'm trying to say. Why? Because if I do, it sounds canned. I feel like I'm reading a script on the screen, and this is what's going to happen, and I will just be going ahead and talking in monotone, and I will be going ahead and just staring straight ahead at the screen while I'm doing this, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. None of my personality shows through. I can't market myself to you folks by presenting the stuff that I know, and I want to go ahead and give to you the best thing that I can go ahead and do. But at the same time, if I don't know where I'm going, I can't go ahead and give you a finished, wonderful product, okay? It's kind of like what I was saying in the last segment before about how any DJ can go ahead and set up their own phone back in the back on the wall or on a tripod, plug in a little speaker, and start going ahead and putting in their playlist, boom, and just playing something in the background. Well, like I said, that's great if you've got 3 or 4 people and you just want to go ahead and have something going on in the background. But if you want people to dance, it doesn't work that way. If you want people to go ahead and really start enjoying what's happening, such as when I'm doing trivia, I've always got songs going in between each trivia question as well. I want them to go ahead and start thinking of the question, but I want them to go ahead and kind of lead them to the answer a little bit as well, or at least make the song pertain to what it is that I'm talking about at that particular time. So if I'm talking about cheese, for example, on my trivia questions, then I might throw on a song such as Jimmy Buffett's Cheeseburger in Paradise. And there they go. And they go ahead and they finish the question and they start singing along. They start dancing in their seats and they start going ahead and enjoying themselves. They're interacting with me by doing this. And I love being able to do that. And if I go ahead and catch them singing, they start getting embarrassed, but they have this big old grin on their face and they're going, I love this song. I love this song. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. This is fabulous for me. I love it when this happens. I really do. And this, to me, is how I go ahead and am able to bring that quality product, and they can see that I'm enjoying myself while they're enjoying themselves, and it makes it an even better thing, and we go ahead and start having that knowing look and sharing that smile along with each other as well. But if, like I said, I am waiting till the very last second and I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what I'm doing, if I were to go ahead and start talking to my about my trivia questions and just pull on the first thing that happened to come about, I might be talking about a science product, and here I am. Next thing I know, I'm talking about Enter Sandman by Metallica, and the two of them just don't go well together at all. And the people are going, "Why did you put this song on?" And this doesn't make sense, and it's the distraction. They can't think about what they're trying to think about because it doesn't go well at all. It doesn't jive. It doesn't fit the situation. So when I say memo to me, get your behind in gear, I need to go ahead and start thinking ahead of time, even if it's a little bit, just a few hours, and preparing for what I want to go ahead and do. The more time I can give myself, the better a chance I've got at being able to get what I need done, and I don't have to worry about rushing through it and doing a half-assed job. I can go ahead and give a very quality product, very quality service, very great quality service to whomever it is I'm trying to go ahead and focus on, and don't have to worry about going, oh, what am I doing next, or what am I doing next, or how am I going from there. I remember when I first started doing my DJ services, and I was going ahead and working for this wedding company, and they would call me up and say, hey, we need you to go ahead and DJ here. Okay, great. Is there any kind of song that they want, or am I kind of left to myself? And what do I go ahead and do from there? So half the time I'd show up and I would go ahead and not realize what type of wedding it was because I wasn't quite prepared. I didn't know the questions to ask. And here I am having all these wonderful little love songs, nice little easy going and flowing things. And I'm talking, and we got James Brown going in the back, and I've got a little bit of Extreme playing some of their nice little slow love songs. I got Harry Belafonte, and I got, just nice little things are going on. Billy Joel in the background, and these people are all country, and they're going, what the heck is this? We don't want this. We want country music. We want country music. And I'm going, okay. And I had to go ahead and start thinking right there, literally on the ball, start searching through all of my list. What do I have that fits? What do I have that fits? What goes up? Okay, got this song. This is great. Boom, play it. Now I got 3 minutes. What am I doing next? Start searching. And I'm freaking out until I go ahead and get a list of 10 or 15 songs, and I can go, ooh, okay. I can go ahead and relax for a minute now. And I hit the next song. And now I've got 10 minutes to go ahead and figure out what I want to do next. Put it in the list. Hit the next song. 3 minutes later, and I've still got another 15 minutes now that I can go ahead and do. And I start searching, and I've got that buffer at least. But I'm still kind of worried because I've got 2 hours worth of music that I have to play. And I've only got 15 minutes to go from there. What am I going to do next? Well, after a while, after 3 or 4 types of weddings that I went ahead and did, some of them were all country weddings. Some of them were people that loved everything. Some of them were Latin music weddings or Latin weddings. And I went ahead and was able to incorporate some of that. I started remembering, okay, you know what? There's some great songs out there that are not quote unquote wedding songs, but they're songs that everybody wants to listen to. They're the greats. They're the classics. They're the things that everybody's going to jump up to anyway and start thinking. So I'd start throwing in some Journey. Don't Stop Believing. And I'd throw in things like Love Shack from the B-52s, and I'd go ahead and get that in there. And I'd put in a little bit of conga from Gloria Estefan. And these things, people are going, wow, yeah, let's do it. And they're up there and they're dancing, they're moving around, they're having a great time. And I'm going, yeah, this is cool. So if I knew I had those 5 or 6 standards in there, plus some of the other great stuff that would come about that's recent, I might go ahead and put in Wobble, for Pete's sake, or Low by Pitbull and I think it's T-Pain that went ahead and helped him out with that. And I'd throw in what's the funk? The funk song by Bruno Mars that's going in there, of course, Uptown Funk that everybody loves. And I'd throw in some Billy Joel, and I'd throw in some other stuff like that really got people pumping up and dancing and going from there. And even if it wasn't quite what I wanted, I could go ahead and fade it out quickly and move on to the next one. And I might throw in I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. And everybody loves that particular song as well. So I would go ahead and have these 5, 10, 15 songs already preset, so I could go ahead and throw them in at any time if necessary. And I knew that I had at least those 15 minutes worth of music that I didn't have to deal with if I needed a rescue, so to speak. And then I started going, you know what? These songs fit better at certain times. So I wouldn't want to go ahead and get people up to Love Shack and then have nothing on that anybody wanted to go ahead and dance to. I needed to go ahead and get them up on the floor and get them really start realizing what was there. Once they were on the floor, then I could go ahead and do it. So I might start off with a nice slow song and invite everybody up. So I'd have somebody, I might put on Billy Joel, Just the Way You Are, Just the Way You Were, or whatever the name is, and invite everybody up. I'd start off with a little bit. Let's have the bride and groom up there, and let's go ahead and have the parents of the bride and groom, and let's go ahead and have the wedding party up. And I would, during the same song, I'd have everybody up on the dance floor. And, if there's a guy sitting next to you, grab him, get him up on the floor. If there's a girl sitting next to you, grab her, get him up on the floor. If you're 75 years old and you want somebody to dance with, get somebody and move them up on the floor. I mean, I would make it fun and I would make it exciting, but I would get them up on the floor, and then I would lead into something like Uptown Funk, bam, and they're all going, yeah, and they're up on the floor, and they're there, and they don't look stupid, and they want to go ahead and dance, and so they start dancing. And it was so much easier doing it that way because I had prepared beforehand what it was I wanted to go ahead and get started and how I wanted to go ahead and lead them to the next one. And even if I didn't have all 2 hours worth of music planned out from there, because sometimes things don't work out that way and you've got to go ahead and switch midstream to something else. Once again, I at least had them started and I could go ahead and keep them up there easier than trying to coax them up in the first place. And that is always what I want you to remember, because if you've got people coming to you, especially when you're marketing yourself, it's easier to keep them in front of you than it is to go ahead and attract them to you in the first place. Excellent thing to remember, and I always want you to do that. But how do you do that? You get your butt in gear. You start doing things. You got that memo right there in front of you and says, make sure you're doing something constantly that's working towards doing that. You are listening to Standing on the Edge. When we come back, it's time to close out the show with What Would Happen If. Welcome back to the show. What Would Happen If is brought to you by DJR Services. DJR Marketing Services. Today's topic for What Would Happen If is just make up your own damn mind. Make up your own mind. Why do I say that? Because so many people get caught in the trap of wanting somebody else to make up their mind for them. It is the most frustrating thing I've ever had to do in my life. The most frustrating thing I've ever had to do in my life is to turn to my girls and say, what do you want to do? And they would come back and go, I don't know. What do you want to do? You remember the movie, The Jungle Book? And you got the 4 vultures up there on the tree, and they're going, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Maybe we can go ahead and do this. No, we did that last week. Well, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to do? Hey, they don't start up with that again. And it's just a downward spiral. A downward spiral. If you don't know what to do, do something. Now, Donald Trump has been credited many times, and I truly think that he went ahead and coined this phrase. He may not have been the one to invent it, but it so rings true. If you want to be successful, the first thing you have to do is do something. You can't be successful if you are just sitting on your behind doing nothing. You can't be successful if you're waiting for somebody else to do it for you, if you're waiting for somebody else to tell you what to do. If you want a job where somebody says, do this, then get a job where somebody will say, do this. I'm not that kind of person. I was I'm basically unemployable because I can't stand having somebody else telling me, do this, because I am too restless. I'm too maybe ADHD, borderline, or something like that. I don't have to take medicine for that, but my mind is constantly throwing off all kinds of ideas and sparks and things of other natures like that, and they're not able to go ahead and keep up with what I'm doing because I get too distracted. So when I would work for the Dollar Tree, or I would work for Home Depot, or I would work for Quick Trip, or I would work for Kroger, or Publix for that matter, they would say, "Okay, Randy, you've got to stay here. You've got to do just this." If I was a cashier at Kroger, they hated me doing cashier at Kroger because I couldn't ever stay behind my register. Somebody would say, "Hey, can you tell me where this is?" And I'd say, "Sure, let me show you." And I would take them right there to that particular aisle. Well, typically what would happen is just at that moment that I would start walking up, my manager would say, "Hey, Randy, where are you going? Get back here. You got somebody in line. You got to go ahead and do that." And I'd be like, "I'll be right there. Let me show you where these people are." And then run them to the product, and I'd run back to it. And my manager's going, "Randy, you got to stop doing that. You got to stay in place. You got to go ahead and be right here and do this. And your job is to ring up the people in front of you." And I'm going, "Yeah, but what happens if these people are asking me this?" "Well, send them there. Just point them in the right direction. Tell them where to go." And I'm going, that just doesn't work very well. They don't see it. They can't find it. They're always coming back anyway, 9 times out of 10. So it's easier for me just to go ahead and run them to there. And at the same time, I only go to this one aisle, this one next aisle, so on and so forth. I'm just right here. I can see what's going on. And I can tell people that I'll be right back. No, you can't do it. You've got to stay right here at your register. And it drove me nuts because the manager would say, "This is your job. Your job is to ring people up. Your job is to smile at these people in front of you. They come to you for a reason," and so on. And I'm going, "But I want to, but I want to, but I want to." And they would go, "Nope, nope, 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 nope. We can't find you. Therefore, we think you're goofing off." Never was, but that was always the case. So if you are like me and you can't stand it when people tell you what you have to do, the best thing you can do is to create a business for yourself that you then are able to go ahead and tell yourself what to do. The sad part is that you have to tell yourself what to do. And I know my best friend right now is probably laughing his behind going, "Duh, that's just the most obvious statement you've ever made in your life." But it's also the hardest thing, because if you don't know what you have to do and then you got to tell yourself to do it, how does that work? It's a very, very difficult and scary thing sometimes to do. So when that happens, you got to go back to what I was saying in the last segment, which is get your butt in gear, start making a list of things you absolutely have to go ahead and do, and then do them. But before that, you've got to go ahead and make up your mind. You know, the hardest thing to do, believe it or not, is not doing something. The hardest thing to do is not making it easier. The hardest thing to do, period, plain and simple, every single time, is to get started. I mean, there's a law. There's a physical science law about it. Sir Isaac Newton, back 200, 300 years ago, did the exact same thing. He had to actually make a physical science law about it. And he stated that an object at rest will remain at rest. It's once again another one of those that just makes so much sense. It is so obvious that why should you even say it? But then he followed it up going, "But an object in motion remains in motion until another object exerts a different force on it and forces it to stop or move in a different direction." So the hardest thing to do is to start. And the hardest thing to do when you're starting is to make up your mind. Why? Because there's always, always, always something else distracting you. There's always something else that's going to be right there going, "Oh, but I need to go ahead and do that. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh my goodness, I've got a spot on my shirt that I didn't know about. Oh my gosh, I need to have a pen to go ahead and write down my ideas. I need to go ahead and, oh, wait, there's something going on out in the street. What's happening? Oh, that's the trash man that's coming out. There's constantly things that, and I haven't even gotten on to just the fact that you're reading a book or you're online scrolling through things and your advertisements come up, bam, right there at the pop of a moment's notice. There's constantly something. We are literally being bombarded second by second by all kinds of distractions. Even a little gnat that might go ahead and fly up in front of your face that nobody else can see but you, and you're being distracted by it. There's all kinds of things that happen from there. I mean, when I'm looking right now, I've got three different cameras that are recording me as we speak, and I'm having to constantly go ahead and continue focusing on different ones so I can go ahead and make sure that if it's going to YouTube, it's going to a different place. If it's going to Facebook, it's going to a different place. If it's going to Instagram, it's going to go to a different place. There's all kinds of things that are happening. I've got to make sure that I'm taking care of that. But at the same time, I've got a light down below me, and it's distracting because it's bright. So I'm constantly looking at that if I'm not careful. And I'm making sure that the video is working, and I'm making sure that my sound is up on my soundboard. And there's always something going on that I've constantly got to go ahead and be looking at. So I've got to remind myself that I have to make up my mind what it is that I'm doing, where I'm going, what I want to go ahead and do, and who it is that I'm trying to go ahead and talk to. If I let it, then the distractions will overwhelm me. In fact, I was talking with another business owner the other night who helped me out with Team Trivia, and he's one of the guys that contracts me out to go ahead and work with Team Trivia the other night. We were talking the other night, and he was going, I had to stop and I had to turn off all of the different aspects that I would used to go ahead and follow on YouTube that were talking about the end of the world and how things were coming up and how the rich were trying to go ahead and influence what was going on, because I would get so distracted by it that I couldn't focus on what I needed to do right now. It's a difficult thing to do. It truly is. So the best way to do it is, number one, make up your mind you're going to do something. Once you've made up your mind to do something, then you can start doing something. I don't care what it is. If you want to go ahead and start up a brand new business, start something. Start up by making up bad businesses, knowing that it's bad, so you can then get through them to the good business. Okay? I remember back in the day, and my other good friend, John, will go ahead and laugh us behind off on this one here too. When we first got out of high school, we decided we wanted to go ahead and make a band. Well, I had a bass guitar that I had just picked up, and I was ready to go. I was raring to go. He didn't know how to go ahead and sing. He didn't know how to play drums. He didn't know how to play guitar, but he had a great band, and we would go ahead and start making up these videos that were completely hilarious, so that people would go ahead and find out who we were. And he just went ahead and made up a name off the right of the top of his head. He said, yeah, we're Nick Nasal and the Nose Bunch. And I'm going, where did you come up with that one? And he goes, it doesn't matter. The fact is, we've done something, and now we can go ahead and get the bad stuff out of the way and move on to the good stuff that we know we want to go ahead and do. And that was just an incredible epiphany to me, even though he didn't realize what he'd just gone ahead and said. And all these years later, I'm no longer associated with Nick Nasal, but I still know that if I can get through the bad and start moving and start doing something, eventually, and most of the time very quickly, I will get to where it is that I want to be, or at least moving in the right direction, so I can go ahead and work better, work smarter, work safer, and get more money flowing into my pockets, which is the thing that I want to do most of all. It's a dirty business, but somebody's got to do it, right? You've been listening to Standing on the Edge. I want to go ahead and give a good shout out to my best friend Lee, who's been watching us today, and I certainly appreciate this. I do want to go ahead and remind you folks that if you want to go ahead and be a sponsor or a partial sponsor to this show, Standing on the Edge, Send me a text to 470-554-2134, or you can send me an email to joinmeattheedge@gmail.com. That's double T's, double E's, joinmeattheedge@gmail.com. And I will go ahead and send you a link to my GoFundMe page that will allow you to go ahead and find out how to be a partial sponsor. My next show is going to be postponed next week due to Thanksgiving, but I will return the following Thursday, December 2nd at noon. Until then, however, I want you to remember, expand your awareness. Think of something every day to help you on your own path, and hopefully soon I will see you joining me on the edge. Have a great holiday, folks. And I'm spent. Thank you very much, Lee. Have a great day.